You're listening to a no-nonsense Roundtable short take, a memorable moment from a memorable show.
This is Dom Genova, host of No Nonsense Roundtable. What you're about to hear is a short segment from an interview I did with a disc jockey we call here in Rochester, Brother Wease. Brother Wease is a member of the National Broadcasting Hall of Fame, as well as being in the Rochester Music Hall of Fame. Listen in. I think that well, the best way to explain this gentleman is that if I was to describe a song and I was to put somebody with this song, it would be My Way. Remember My Way? I did it my way. It's Brother Wease. Brother Wease, welcome to the show. I'm not going to sing My Way, but I think that's kind of sums up the way you have lived your life. How you doing?
Well, that's really funny. I was just telling somebody about, I was at the Record Archive last Friday. On Fridays, they have the Finally Friday happy hour. Have you been to Record Archive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, records on top of records, yeah.
But I mean, have you been to the bar and the room in the back where they have live music and parties?
Well, yeah, I've been there just once, but years and years ago. But I know where it is. A very cool area. Yeah.
Well, on Fridays they have Finally Friday happy hours with entertainment, and I was in town for 4 days. I'm living in Fort Lauderdale for 9 months a year, so I just had to go to my grandson's big first birthday party, so we had to fly in 4 days. So we went to the Finally Friday. And two guys approached me that were old producers of mine, and I couldn't recognize them because they got old. But we ended up having a great time talking, and they wanted to know a little bit about the history. And My Way was the thing, because I used to get yelled at the beginning of my situation. And I used to tell my partner at the time, don't fight with the management. Just agree, and then we won't do it. We'll just do it our way.
My way.
And then, as long as we had ratings, they couldn't tell us what to do. So we would pretend we would, but you do it your way, my way.
Well, I'm looking at the website. I'm doing a little bit of freshening up on my research about you, and there's some questions here. And let's see, iHeart says Wease is a National Radio Hall of Famer, which is true. Has dominated the Rochester radio market for years. And I love this statement. His unique perspective on today's topics and yesterday's stories, and goes blah blah. His unique perspective. That's like when somebody asks you what somebody looks like, and they tell you they have a really great personality, a unique perspective. Why don't you describe what you think that? Why does iHeart say you have a unique perspective?
Well, I guess if people follow a cookie cutter way of doing things, and if someone like myself comes in, but since I've been doing morning radio for 40 years, everybody does it my way now. I mean, at the beginning, of course, Howard Stern used to accuse me of copying him, when the fact of the matter is he copied a friend of mine from Chicago, Steve Dahl, and I never heard Howard Stern. I mean, he tried to tell people he's a liar, but he tried to tell people I listened to him in Philadelphia. I was already in Rochester when he was syndicated to Philadelphia. But now, everybody does radio the way we did it. But when I went in, my show was unique. It was unique. They had the pirate radio. They had a morning, what do they call it, zoo. They had morning zoos, and all that stuff. But for the grace of God, I could be rich, because it came down. I was headhunted for a morning show in Los Angeles, and it was so interesting because the guy that was doing it didn't want air checks. He wanted me to do a cassette where I just talked to him, and I did it. And I was never interested in leaving Rochester, but I figured if LA happened, I would have to do it. So he called me one day and said, it's down to you and two guys from Little Rock, Arkansas. I went, what? I mean, I couldn't believe that. And they got the job, Mark and Brian, on KLOS. I thought it might have been Alabama, but I'm pretty sure I was shocked about Little Rock. But anyway, I always knew that if I got that job, I would have killed. Because at the time, only because it's not bragging, it's just that only at that time in Los Angeles, all they had were top 40 morning zoos and the same crap. Mark and Brian, who took the job that I could have had, were free radio like I do and they do. And they killed. They killed. Well, and but it's just, but now everybody does it, everybody.
Well, one of the things I learned from you when I first had you on the show is we were talking about ratings, and you said, I've repeated this many, many times since I talked to you. You said, whoever's listening to you, you're number one to them. Says whether it's this guy or that guy, you're number one to them. So you're concerned with the ratings, but you're more concerned with your family, your radio family that knows you and loves you and turns you on when you're on the air. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that, because I look at my Nielsen ratings, they seem to be good. But you know what? It's if they're listening to you, they like you, and who can tell how many friends you have is one better than the other, right?
Well, it's a funny thing to talk about ratings because the methodology is scary. It's all scary. But my first year on the radio, on morning radio, the first ratings, TV came in, news to interview me. And I always used to have a nightmare that I would get a zero. If they go to the they only take a small bunch of people. I could have got a zero, but I ended up doing really, really good for a long period of time.
Well, you're your own man, and it really does come through that Wease is Wease. He's his own man, and I think that's what your brand is too. I mean, so let's do a little bit of retail here. We have the Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony happening at the 5th at the Kodak Hall at the Eastman Theater. Now, last year, tell me about your presentation last year. I mean, when you got inducted.
Well, here's the funny part of it. I brought Joan Osborne, a friend of mine, who performed, and so I had a lot of people come to see me be inducted. I don't mean the room; I mean friends of mine that came and listeners. So I get up there, and I don't think I spoke 5 minutes, and my buddy Tony Gross gives me the hook. I said, "Bro, you giving me the hook?" He said, yeah. And meanwhile, I got Joan Osborne getting ready to play on my behalf. So then after she played, he let me come back again. But I have to tell you, and I don't know if you'll keep this in the broadcast, the reason that happened was that the induction before mine, which was either I think they had to skip a year for COVID or something. But the induction before mine, a certain fella spoke for 45 minutes. 45 minutes. So they decided to give, which is a smart thing. People don't want to sit in that theater for 4 hours. So that was a smart thing to give a time limit, but whoa. people that came to see me, because I had a lot of jokes ready.
Yeah.
But it was a great night, because my good friends, the Majestics, got inducted that night. And, I used to be with them I'm not in the band, but Ronnie Stackman was actually the best man at one of my weddings. And we went on our honeymoon. That's from the Majestics.
Well, I hope to see you then. And I really do appreciate your kindness and your friendship to me over over these years of knowing you, and you're one of a kind in the best possible way. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every Saturday from 10 to 11 on News Radio Wham 1180. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.